Hi everyone, it's Catherine here from Ink Fingered Cat. And once again, apologies about the voice. At the point that I was recording this, I was still unwell. Definitely on the mend. In fact, this was the day after the last video I filmed, and I'd managed to stay awake for most of the day at this point. So this was progress. Anyway, I thought I'd do another scrapbook page. This one took a lot longer than I was expecting because I ended up doing some sewing in the middle, but there you go. Okay, so I wanted to use up those papers that I had already cut into, and you know what I'm like, as soon as I've cut into some papers, I want to keep using them until I've used them up, basically. I don't want to have to put them in my scraps box if possible. So I will keep going with the same papers, but hopefully the pages will end up looking quite different. This one definitely does. So I cut 3 2-inch strips of that camera pattern paper that I absolutely love and have been hoarding, so it's good to get it used up. And I just wanted the 3 strips to kind of go down the page. I could have just left it as a single piece, but I thought it added a bit of interest to have them as strips with a little gap in between. And then I took that Bramble Fox stencil and did a bit of stenciling with my Distress ink. I used Worn lipstick. I thought that muted pink would look nice with the other papers. I actually don't think you can see very much of the stenciling at the end because I cover most of it up, and I always underestimate how much space I'll cover, and so really probably should have gone a bit wider, but I'm quite happy with how it looks. So I've matted and layered the photographs with the brown paper, and then I'm going to do the same with the pink, but this time I'm just going to sort of cut round it into one piece rather than it being 2 pieces. And then because I am distressing the edges, which I did on all of my pieces of paper, it doesn't really matter if I've gone on slightly wonky in my cutting. That's what I decided anyway. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I think when it's these mats and layers, it doesn't really matter. And then I went a bit wild and I took these sort of patterned paper bags that I'd got in Lollipop Box and Ramble Fox Club kits that I had managed to save, and I just used them as layers as well. And now I start going a little bit crazy and start adding all of my embellishments and sort of working out vaguely where I want things to be. So I've started with this embellishment kit from March from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm adding in the little heart paper clips just to the edge of each of the photos. And then I've got 6 of these hearts left, so that's perfect for the 3 sort of cluster areas. And then I decide, right, I'm going to stick this trim. It's like a crochet type trim down one edge, and this is when I decide I'm going to sew it into place. So I shove everything else off to the side, get out my little mat that I use for piercing, and I pierce it two ends of each of the sort of like loops, because I'm going to just do a stitch that just covers it over the top of it. So could I have just used a bit of glue and glued this in place? Absolutely. Did I do the sewing? No, not really. It was quite hard work because I kept having to turn the page backwards and forwards each time. But do I like the final effect? Yes, I do. Am I happy? Yeah, why not? So sometimes you end up doing something and you're not entirely sure why you're doing something, but you just end up doing it. So I used some white embroidery floss, and don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit and watch it all at the speed that it's at. So I will speed this up now, and hopefully, yeah, you'll see it's gone into super fast. Probably took me about 10 minutes to do this though, so I am warning you, it took a while because it was quite fiddly, because I had to almost turn it over every single stitch to be able to make sure I was putting it in the right place for the ribbon, and also that I wasn't coming up through the wrong hole. Faffy. Then I ran out of thread because I hadn't quite got enough thread to do the whole thing, so then I had to do it with another piece. So this is me just securing the end of that one, and then I have to rethread my needle and go again. And obviously it's only a few stitches for this top part, but it was just annoying that it hadn't been quite enough. So again, I tied it off and I just secure my sewing with a bit of washi. So back into the normal speed up. So I normally speed my scrapbooking videos up by 4, but I think at that point it had gone into times 12 or something along those lines. So I've grabbed my embellishment box and I've got these amazing 49th Market laser cut leaves with all the colours, and I just thought, yep, I'm going for it. So I end up with a lot of leaves on this layout. And this is me just pulling out the ones that I think I'm going to use. Actually don't end up displaying them quite in, putting them quite the same place, but almost the same place. And then the back sheet of this pack has got all of these other elements, so I decided to do a lot of fussy cutting. I cut some of these out too. So I hadn't really realised when I bought the sheet, the pack of these leaves, that it also included these sort of like cut apart pieces, because it's on like the backing cardstock. It's quite a thick cardstock. So I've got this huge piece here that I'm going to turn into a tag. At first I put it in upside down, and then I decided, no, I will have it the right way round to show some of those numbers off the text. And I thread through some of the wax thread from the March embellishment kit from Hey Little Magpie again, in sort of like a creamy colour. So it doesn't stand out drastically, but I know it's there and it's on the page, and I end up looping it round. And I am literally just grabbing these bits and pieces that I think will work on this page. Obviously the colours are all going to work with the leaves, and the leaves work well with the paper below, so I think it works fine. But yeah, I've just cutted a few bits and pieces out from this kit, and I decided that I really wanted a bit of this purple frame, so quite fiddly, and I fussy cut it so that it had got sort of like some of the indentations and the sort of the ripped element that it has got to the printing, rather than having a white bit. So it did take a bit of fiddling round. And then I cut out the inside, so I can save that heart for another page. And then I'm going to cut the inside of the frame out too. Again, there's probably easier ways of doing this, but this is the way I chose to do it. Especially since what I then end up doing is cut it in half. So it would have been a lot easier to fussy cut without having to cut into the centre, but there you go. Or out from the centre. Again, I'm just picking bits and pieces from this embellishment, or these embellishments, and sticking them on. Now this one I did leave with a slight white border. I just thought it worked nicely. And then I fiddled around to try and get it all back into the plastic sheeting that it belongs in. I think I probably need to go and get myself a tray or something to put all of those laser cut leaves into, really, rather than keep trying to put them back into the pack. And now it's time to start adhering everything. So some things were already adhered together of those layers, so I'm now just tucking things like that bit of purple frame. And then I'm just going to try and adhere this down, making sure that the edges are sort of loose so that I can tuck things still. So there's that ticket that needs to go in, and then I'll start pulling the leaves in. And at this point I think, right, I'm going to have to use a bit of wet glue to put the leaves in, rather than my ATG. And this allows me to sort of manipulate the leaves a little bit so that they can go over the photos and underneath as well. The smile, I had a little bit of a moment of putting it on the left hand side, but I decided no, it was definitely a right hand side element, and I really wanted that as the title. Again, that came from one of the Hey Little Magpie embellishment kits. And then I was really happy with how this was turning out. So I am now sort of fiddling with the thread, which you probably can't see very well on the film. But I've basically looped it round, and then I'm tucking it underneath so that the loose edges are looped in and they're secured underneath some of those layers. I really like it when it sort of looks like it's sort of looped around and it's loose, but actually it's all secured so that it stays in the right place. I'm again just sticking my little hearts down, and now I'm going to have a little look and see if there's any other elements I can add in from my embellishment box. Oh yeah, I decided I wanted a few of these these cameras fussy cutting out to add as elements as well. I felt especially up there where that that leaf bit was quite empty, like what's it called, like the branch part was sort of more on display than the leaves. I didn't really want it like that, so I decided that I would put a camera up there, and then obviously keeping to my 3. So I've got my 3 little areas of kind of cluster. There's the right hand side, the sort of middle underneath the photographs, and then to the top left of the photographs. I brought in the flare button that I think, actually that came from March. I think all the others came from the February Hey Little Magpie kit, sorry. But the green little flowers that I'm adding now, and that green flare button that says together, they all came from the March Hey Little Magpie embellishment kit, that was right. I think I just have some words that I now add in. And again, this is a sticker that came from a page kit from Hey Little Magpie. And it's just leftover stickers, and some of those seem to work with the page. It is quite busy, I will say. It's quite a busy page, having that pattern paper and then those very bold leaves on. But I really like it. I think it's really cute. So the last thing to do is to add in some journaling. Now, I did add in some journaling, but I turned the camera off to go and check the date. And it was Mother's Day 2024 is the photographs. And then I also added in some black splatter. So I did that all off camera because I forgot to put the camera back on again. But there you go. That's my page. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making it. Again, apologies for the voiceover and that you've had to listen to my very coldy voice. But I hope you enjoyed the video and will leave me a little comment below. Please subscribe if you want to see more. Not sure when the next video is, but it'll be soon, I'm sure. Till next time, bye-bye.